The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Generations Radio, where the focus is on our seniors and their families. We are here each Saturday afternoon from 5 until 6 p.m., bringing you resourceful information with our radio team of professionals in the field of aging. Stay with us for the next 1 hour as we explore different ways to make life more exciting and meaningful for our extraordinary seniors. Right here on AM 690 The Answer. And now, here is our host and the publisher of Generations Magazine, Percy Ihara.
And welcome back to the Generations Radio Show. I am Percy Ihara, the host every Saturday and Sunday, along with my co-host, Melissa Mansfield. Welcome, Melissa, back to the show again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And because, if you guys haven't heard yet, Melissa is the most recent licensed certified gerontologist for the state of Hawaii. So congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
And maybe I can learn a few things from you and you can learn a few things from me.
That's why we're together.
Yes. So anyway, if you guys don't know by now, the senior fair is Saturday. We tape these shows on Wednesday or Thursday. So if you're listening to it now, it's either Saturday or Sunday. If you listen to it Saturday, you still have time to go Sunday, or Saturdays from 8:30 to 4:30, and same thing Sunday. But yeah, check it out. It's in the paper, the big spread, and as you guys probably know by now, if you've been listening to the radio show, I am this year's ambassador. So every day we'll be going on the main stage talking about healthy living. I believe we're going to have, I forgot already. Anyway, Saturday we're going to have fall prevention. Friday we're going to have elder abuse. So if you listen to this show Saturday, I'm sorry. And then Sunday, we're going to talk about healthy living with our personal trainer, Diane Cadena. And she's actually going to bring up two of her senior clients. Her star pupil, my workout mentor and guru is Joni. And then my friend, Wendell, who's 68. After a year working out, got off of diabetes medication. So he's clear. In fact, he works out after me every time I go in there. So anyway, welcome to the senior fair if you're listening, and hopefully you'll attend. Anyway, today we're going to have a very unique gentleman and lady, Tom Rulon and Laurie Adamshick, both attorneys, but through their experience have developed a great business plan, and it's called the Lifecare plan. So welcome, Tom and Laurie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Percy. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, Tom, we've known each other for many years. Mm-hmm. In fact, you had your own radio show, right?
Yes, I did, some years ago.
Yeah, and so your show was really about estate planning more so?
It was all about estate planning. It was a call-in show on estate planning.
Right.
So people would call in live, and I would answer questions.
Yeah, so maybe you got to come back more often because you have a great voice, by the way. Yeah. And so anyway, we're going to start with Tom. Tom, give us your background and maybe some experiences on why you started this Lifecare plan.
Sure, Percy. I've been practicing estate and trust law, specializing in estate and trust law for over 40 years now here in Hawaii. And about maybe 11, 12 years ago, my clients were getting older, and I decided I wanted to move more and specialize more and focus more on my senior clients, my older clients. So to move into that area of what we call elder law, I went to a conference in San Francisco put on by NALA. That's the National Association of Elder Law Attorneys.
Right.
And at that conference, I ran into and listened to a speaker named Tim Takis. He was an attorney from Tennessee. And he talked about how what he did is he had 3 or 4 geriatric social workers and nurses on his staff. Wow. And what he was doing is more than just the traditional elder law practice of Medicaid planning. He was actually working with his clients with putting together a team approach to his practice. And so I went up to Tim after he talked, and I said, Tim, can I come to Tennessee and follow you around for like a week and find out how you do what you do? And he said, I've had a couple of other lawyers ask me the same question. If I can put together something, I'll email you. And
really?
About 4 months later, I got an email, and he said, we got 15. Are you coming?
15 attorneys that went to Tennessee?
15 attorneys from across the country that went to Tennessee. So I flew to Tennessee. We spent a weekend with Tim, and from that was developed the Lifecare Planning Law Firm Association. And there are probably maybe 100 attorneys across the country now that specialize in what we call life care planning instead of just elder law. It's kind of an expansive elder law program that involves not only traditional elder law, but also involves having a medical personnel on staff, putting together a team of social workers, nurses, and attorneys to do a kind of a holistic approach to the many problems that our seniors face as they enter into the elder years.
So that's what I love about the show. I love about the magazines. I've been doing this for a while, and I learn something new every day. A life care.
Life care planning.
No, but I mean, it's an association or a group of.
Yeah, there's a life care planning law firm association. They're based in Tucson, but they have a reach throughout the entire country. One of the current president of it lives in New Jersey.
Really?
He has a large law firm that's dedicated to life care planning.
Well, it's funny you say that because you say 11, 12 years ago, I got in this business, reverse mortgage business, about 13 and a half, 14 years ago, because I was in a mortgage business for, at the time. I think I was in the business for like 14, 15, 16 years. And I got kind of bored a little bit with more regular mortgages. And when somebody asked me about the reverse mortgage, I didn't really know a lot about it. But I looked into the potential marketplace, and that's when I realized a huge potential baby boomers and their parents into this marketplace. And I took a deep dive in, and really, that's what started me as well. I could see that there was a need out there. So, Laurie Adamshick, you're a partner, and I didn't realize you're an attorney as well.
I am, and Tom and I go back many years, practiced together a long time ago. I got into this, though, because of the experience that I had taking care of my parents back when I was in my 40s.
You started young.
I had a 2-year-old daughter. I had a successful business that had gone national. I was flying all over the country and came back home after a long trip, got a phone call, and it changed my life. It was the beginning of the decline of my parents. First my dad and then my mom, and for the next 2 years, I gradually put my life on hold in order to become their primary caregivers. I managed every aspect of their lives. I was completely overwhelmed.
Are you the only child?
No, and I had a very supportive brother who would come in every couple of weeks and relieve me. And I give a shout out to every sibling that comes to the aid of the main caregiver, because it's so important to have that support. But it's even with that support, it is daunting, it is overwhelming to suddenly have to step into the shoes of your parents and manage their lives for them. Yeah. I thought that as an attorney, I had enough problem-solving skills that I could figure this out. And I knew how to ask the right questions, but I couldn't help but remember all the other folks, a lot of my friends who didn't have those skills. How in the world do they manage? And they would call me. I didn't have a coach to get me through this, which is what Tom and I are trying to do for people now, is be a coach.
Right.
I was like a lot of people who, we have a metaphor about being on the freeway, and you're late for a meeting, and the cars are zipping by you, and you don't know what exit to get off. The map is in the trunk, the GPS doesn't work, and you're in a panic situation. What do I do? How do I get there? Our goal now is to help navigate people through that so that they're not in so much of a panic and they know they have someone they can call.
Yeah. I'm speaking to about 60, 70 financial planners tomorrow about this issue of when you get that phone call. You had mentioned you got a phone call, and I've been telling people my friends my age say, you're only a phone call away from that one that's really going to change your life.
That's exactly right.
So that story is so true, and you must hear that all the time from your clients, even from Melissa over at Ultra. So you must get that quite a bit, huh?
Absolutely. And when to start planning. So that's my next question. When is a good time to start planning?
Sooner rather than later, I think probably. When we look at our clients, we kind of divide them into two categories, I guess, of clients. One are what we call HOPs, healthy older persons.
Healthy older person, okay.
Healthy older persons.
I'm going to speak, like I said, to about 60, 70 financial advisors tomorrow. I better write this down.
HOPs.
HOP, that's a good one.
And then the other category, of course, would be unhops.
And the NHOPs are the folks that are in a crisis, that have had, somebody's had a stroke, or dad just had a fall and he's suddenly in the hospital and he's going to rehab, but he's going to be coming home in a short period of time. We don't know what to do. Who do we call? We can't afford this. We've got full-time jobs. What about the kids? Everything comes down on people all at once.
And that's unhopped.
And those are unhopped situations.
That's
crisis.
That's
crisis.
who called me.
That's a crisis
Yeah.
call.
That is a crisis call.
Mom's in the hospital. They're going to discharge her to rehab. We don't know what to do. And so we're able to, with our elder care coordinator, if they're already on board with us, if they've joined us as HOPs, basically, our elder care coordinator is right out there at the hospital. And of course, one of the first issues she's dealing with is, are they on observation status or have they been admitted? Because it can make a great big difference in terms of Medicare entitlements.
Right. So you mentioned you're both attorneys, but you said you have a third member of your team is an RN.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
explain that side of the business as well.
We have an elder care coordinator who is a registered nurse and a geriatric specialist, and she helps us with coaching folks through families as well as the older loved one, with helping understand diagnoses, medication management, doing an evaluation of capacity, whether or not the person is going to be in a good enough shape to go home, or whether they've got to go to another assisted living situation where they can get more help. She helps with rounding up community resources, helping us figure out what would be best to support the family and the loved one. She's really a coach for the family, so that if something happens and they don't know who to call, they can call her first.
Coach and actually advocate.
And an advocate, that's
Yeah.
a very good point.
Because I got a
Yes.
call yesterday, and I've been on the phone for this lady for about 30 minutes. She's been reading a magazine, and she's heard about the senior fair on the radio show here, and called me, said, I need some help. And so she was a daughter of a aging mother, and she only spoke Japanese. Even though she lived here 30 years, she really only spoke Japanese. So she was like, I need to get a doctor. The hospital we're at doesn't have a doctor that speaks Japanese. And I went to another hospital and he speaks Japanese, but he's always so busy. I can only see him once a month. And so I said, well, Kuakini has actually about 3 geriatricians, I believe, or 4. So I said, give them a call, find out, because it's really important. But she asked me the same thing. They want to discharge her. They want to discharge her this week. I
Yeah.
said, wow.
Often it's a lot less notice
Tomorrow.
than that. Yeah, tomorrow.
So what happens, in fact, Melissa, because I'm actually the only one with the magazine that doesn't have actually firsthand experience with caregiving, what happens? Or maybe Melissa or maybe Laurie, you can explain, when you get that call, but shouldn't a hospital give you more than a day or two lead time on when they need to be discharged?
Well, if the physician feels like the patient is stable, then they can discharge within a certain amount of hours. A lot of times the family call in a frantic. They need a hospital bed, or they need staff to come in, either a caregiver to come in and help with ADLs, which is activities of daily living, and they need it now because they have to go to work the next day, or they have an appointment that they can't miss.
Interesting.
And when a patient has been admitted to a hospital and they're going to be discharged, let's say, to a nursing home or for rehab, and then eventually, hopefully, come home, Medicare will pay for the first 20 days at rehab, provided that the patient has been at the hospital for at least 3 days, has been admitted, not under just observation, and has been there for 3 days.
Right, there's that difference, right?
Yes.
And sometimes, if let's say the person has been admitted, they've been there 2 days, the discharge planner's job is to get them out as quick as possible. And
They don't want them to stay a third day?
no,
They need the bed.
Oh,
but if you can advocate with the discharge planner and perhaps with the hospital, they have to provide you with a written discharge plan. And you can ask for a written discharge plan, and then you can appeal that plan. Now, the appeal then goes to 4 medical doctors that are not associated with that hospital. Now, there has to be a review. You may be able to buy a day, by appealing, by advocacy. In one situation, the family offered to pay. So, well, how much does it cost to stay another day? Well, private pay, $1,500. Well, $1,500 is well worth it if you get 20 days of Medicare coverage of rehab. I mean, that could save thousands of dollars.
Right.
So there is some help that can be done right there at that initial stage at the hospital.
So when you say life care planning, what is that all about? How would you explain it in 5 minutes?
Okay, maybe like an elevator, an elevator response.
Well, maybe a little longer, but really, because I run into this almost daily.
Okay.
People call me, and people I haven't seen in 20 years. I got a what do you call it, message thing from Facebook saying, "Remember me? I worked with you 30 years ago in 1984 at the restaurant, and I need some help." So I don't have our phone number on Facebook and LinkedIn, so I said, just send them my number. Give me a call if you want to meet in person about your mom. But it always happens. So when somebody calls and you say, well, let's say they'll call and say, Mr. Rulon, Ms. Adamshick, what really is life care planning all about?
Life care planning, in life care planning, our focus as a legal medical team is in helping older folks maintain their independence, have peace of mind by finding them good care and helping to protect their retirement savings. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, we help our older folks find, get, and pay for good quality care. In other words, what we tell our clients is we help you take care of mom and dad.
And our clients are mom and dad, not the families, not the kids, but mom and dad.
I say the same thing because all the time, I have to go on vacation or I have to work, and say, well, if you care or you need to meet with a doctor, you need to take off work. It's really important. So you really are the advocate for the parent all the time.
Yes.
Well, that's our client. We make it very clear to the families when they maybe bring mom in that mom is our client. The children sometimes, mom sometimes is very concerned about preserving an inheritance, not spending everything for the nursing home, preserving something that she can pass on as a legacy to her family. And if that's important to the mother, we can work with her on doing that and seeing that happens. But the children, we don't represent the children. They're maybe fifth in our priorities. And so if we have a family in front of us and the kids are saying, listen, we're not concerned about inheritance. All we want to make sure is that mom gets the best available care. Those are people we can work with. If the kids are talking about, well, what about how are we going to protect our inheritance? They may not be a good fit for us. We may send them off to somebody, maybe a traditional Medicaid planner.
Yeah, we want the families that want to put their parents at the top of the list of priorities.
That comes up quite a bit. The first thing to think about Medicaid is that Medicaid is great. We have one of the best Medicaid and MedQuest plans in the country. However, you have to realize he who pays for the care controls the care, and depends on where the bed's at as well, right? And you can't stay in the home. So from a legal standpoint, what's the process in that side?
From a legal standpoint. Yeah. You mean for Medicaid planning?
No, just for because I don't really advocate Medicaid unless you don't own a home. Because if you own a home, in my personal opinion, you got to buy the care. If you have to sell the house, but you need to have the number one priority. I was telling a relative of mine last month, the primary thing you got to think about is the quality of your mother's care. Yeah,
that's the number one priority, that mom gets good quality care. And it could be at home with home care coming in, with an agency assisting, with family members assisting, or it could be in a assisted living facility or even a nursing a foster home.
Right.
We kind of prefer the foster home to the nursing home because the foster home, our experience has been with our clients that have been in good foster homes, that they're adopted into the family. They become part of the family of the foster home.
Got to find a good one, though.
Yeah.
It's a much more homey situation. It's not an institutional feeling at all. And the good ones are so valuable.
And that's what our social worker does. She goes out and researches the foster homes in the area that the client or the client's family are living in, and takes pictures and does an evaluation, talks to the people that are there.
Take pictures of the place?
She does a very thorough evaluation to make sure that...
Because we want the light, bright, happy homes. We don't want the dark, dreary, unkept homes.
And there are those as well, right?
So the initial process, I suppose, is, after we've had initial interviews and discussion with we put together a written life care plan But like Dwight Eisenhower said many years ago, a written plan isn't worth anything. It's the planning that's important. And so though we come together with a written plan, it's very flexible, and it's designed so that we can continue to modify it and change it as things happen, as a person's care and needs develop over time. We develop a long-term relationship with our clients that we're able to then modify the plan as we go, and as new problems surface.
Right.
We had
Life
a problem
happens.
surface. Maybe you
We
might
have
tell
to
her about our client at the assisted living facility that had a caregiver. Yeah.
We had a client at a well-known assisted living facility who was there for rehab. She'd had a stroke. She needed physical therapy. She needed continued therapy because it wasn't available at home with both of the kids working. And unfortunately, she didn't get along with the primary caregiver. She tried hard to make it work. She thought the relationship would eventually grow. But one Saturday morning, we got a call from her daughter saying, I don't know what to do. Mom says, come get me. I want to come home. I can't deal with this lady anymore. I'm afraid of her.
Wow.
And the daughter really wasn't feeling comfortable calling the assisted living facility and tattling on this caregiver
They have to.
her worry was that it would be her mother,
Retaliation.
Right.
would be the person who they'd take it out on. So I made a call, spoke to the director of nursing, and basically said, this lady is one of our clients, somebody that we care about and that we're going to keep an eye on and keep track of. And she's got an issue with her caregiver, and we really need her to be there for the rehab, despite the fact that she now wants to come home. Is there some way you can help us to resolve this? We didn't intimidate, we didn't threaten, but we did tell them, we're an elder law firm, and this is one of our clients. And within the hour, they swapped out the caregiver with another caregiver, and the problem went away. It helped because she had an advocate to stand up.
Right.
Somebody who wasn't a family member, somebody outside the family who could say, this is not a good situation and we need to fix it.
Yeah. It's really important because you're a third party. Even for myself, when I come in to talk to a family, I'm not a family member. So they say, let's say you'll always be there. I was telling you, you'll always be your mother's daughter.
Yes.
When you talk to her, even though you're a gerontologist, she only still looks at you as your daughter, right?
Absolutely. She might ask me for advice, but she knows that I will be there for her when she's ill. We've already had that conversation. I'll move her out to Hawaii to be with me. It's her favorite place anyway, so it's a no-brainer. But daughters are the majority of the caregivers, so it's just a role that we take on ourselves.
Yeah.
And we had one of our clients' daughter who was very stressed out. She was spending a lot of time helping and working with her mother, being the family caregiver for her mother. And Laurie told her, remember, you're the daughter. Be the daughter. We can help you hire somebody to come in and assist, but be the daughter. And she commented that on that several times later on, that was so important. That just a little bit of advice to her just helped her so much in really understanding her role in caring for her mother was to be the daughter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're here with Tom Rulon and Laurie Adamshick from the Rulon and Adamshick law firm.
Yes.
And they were talking about life care planning. One question, Tom and Laurie, before we go to break. You must get a lot of calls that are like immediate. I mean, like they just got the call yesterday or this morning, and I heard about them on the Generations radio show. I got a call, but you now, is there a lot of your calls like immediate like that, where it's just reactive? Something happened and they need your services.
A lot of us, our calls are immediate, but they're not really immediate. The family is perhaps panicking, but there's time to be able to sit down and really work out the issues. We haven't had one where we have to just drop everything, although we're capable of doing that. We can have our elder care coordinator go right out to the hospital or go right out to the home and begin the process. But more often than not, there's time to really do some evaluations. Our process, and maybe after the break we can talk a little bit about the kind of the systematic process that we develop in order to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
Because I get called, like most of the calls I get are used from family or friends, and why does it cost so much? Or they call her, like yesterday's call was they got to move her out by this weekend, and like, well, talk to your care manager at the hospital. I said, I did, but they still said you got to move her out of here. So I said, so I like your comment earlier. You said that you can appeal the decision or appeal the plan.
Yes. You can maybe buy some time. Maybe just a quick story. I was at the movie theater with my wife, and I'd forgotten to turn off my cell phone. And you know how they tell you, be sure to turn it off. Well, I hadn't turned it off yet. The phone rang. The movie hadn't started. I picked it up. It was a financial advisor's wife who was calling me about her uncle. And she needed, she knew that I was in this business, and I talked to her. I gave her the phone number of our elder care coordinator. She called the elder care coordinator, and very next day, the elder care coordinator met with the family. And she called back and she told me, she says, I was so thankful. I mean, this gal just really was so helpful to us, and she came out right away. And so it really helped to be able to take those calls and be able to respond immediately.
Even Friday night at the movies.
So that's your coordinator, Sue. Was it Alden Rudin?
Sue is on a leave of absence,
okay.
a health leave of absence. So we've got another elder care coordinator and a clinical social worker who works with us.
Really? Wow.
With placements.
Good. We're here with Mr. Tom Rulon and Laurie Adamshick from the Rulon and Adamshick law firm. But they're really into life care planning, and that's one of my favorite topics because we always try to plan as early as possible. In fact, to be proactive, to understand as your client ages, it's going to get harder, and we need to start planning ahead of time. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with Tom and Laurie after this 5-minute break. We'll be right back.
Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
Moon Physical Therapy is here to help you back to recovery. Moon Physical Therapy is located on Ward Avenue across from Sports Authority. Physician prescribed for motor vehicle accidents, workman's comp, or that body pain that comes from rushing to play without warming up. Also event cardiopulmonary rehabilitation with our one-on-one patient care. Moon's Aquatherapy heated endless pool allows for low-impact exercise with less pain on land. We will give you the right exercises to get you back to health. Ask your doctor to prescribe Moon Physical Therapy. Moon Physical Therapy. We achieve results.
Aloha, this is Martha Clopin.
And Al Harrington. Choosing the right Medicare plan not only saves you money, it also helps you avoid headaches and heartaches down the road.
We want to remind everyone
to listen to a Medicare Moment with Martha, Sundays from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we help answer important questions on Medicare so you can stay healthy, wealthy, and wise all year long.
Call me at 543-2073, 543-2073.
I was an addict from the age of 13. I finally decided it was time for a change. I walked into the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center, and that got me ready for the real world. Now, I choose to be guided by Jesus Christ, and today, I'm building a powerful and promising future, free from drugs and alcohol.
Please shop at the Salvation Army family stores. With our discounted sales, your support through your purchase helps men live a clean, sober, and productive life.
Got Vegas on your mind? Get Vacations Hawaii on the line. Vacations Hawaii offers weekly 4 and 5 night Honolulu to Vegas packages, which include 3 meals daily from $6.99. Stay at Hawaii's favorite casinos: California, Fremont, Main Street Station, and Orleans Hotel. Vacations Hawaii will get you there in comfort on deluxe wide-body 767 planes with complimentary in-flight hot meal service. Vacations Hawaii's frequent flyer program gives you future travel discounts and credits. So if you're ready to win big, call Vacations Hawaii at 591-4777 or visit pointVacationsHawaii.com.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy Ihara from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690 The Answer. Focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
And welcome back to Generations Radio. I am Percy Ihara, your host, with Melissa Mansfield. We're talking today about life care planning, and with Mr. Tom Rulon and Laurie Adamshick, who actually are attorneys, but also has a staff that can handle your medical needs as well. And that's what I like about that, Tom. So the first question Melissa's going to start off with.
Yeah, I've never heard of life care planning. I've heard of end-of-life care planning. So what is the process? Take us through the steps when someone calls your office.
Well, that's the first step, is somebody calls the office. And what will happen at that point is our intake person, which right now is Laurie, because she's does a kind of an in-depth interview with the clients, with the family on the phone, to find out what the situation is, what mom's needs are, what their concerns are, kind of maybe a half an hour, 45-minute discussion to see whether or not we might be able to provide value to them, we may be able to help. If it appears that we can, then the first step would be to schedule an initial meeting. And we send them a workbook to fill out. We tell them that, we can make the best use and answer your questions and provide you with the most information to give you a real good roadmap to get started with at this meeting. If you're fully prepared and you can help us to be fully prepared, then we can make this a very productive meeting. So that might be the initial part, would be that initial meeting. And then what we do is we walk the clients through what we call our elder care continuums. We have 4 elder care continuums, and of course we have corollary continuums, but the first one would be the capacity assessment continuum, the capacity continuum. And there, the one end of the continuum is the person is living independently at home, and they don't,
without help.
Yeah, and they're in good health. We still want our elder care coordinator to go out, do a home assessment, make sure that make recommendations as to what might be appropriate to prepare in the event of a fall, in the event of something happening where they would then be able to be discharged at home and have it be a safe place. So we can give some adaptive modification recommendations, and the elder care coordinator can then discuss if there's some cognitive issues or physical issues with the medical provider and with the caregiver that they may already have there to assist. As you move down the elder care the capacity continuum, of course, at the other end of the continuum is 24/7 care. But let me give you an example. Maybe Laurie can give an example of one of our clients.
I was just thinking of that lady. We have a elderly lady who came to us in a care home who the social workers believed probably had dementia because she didn't respond appropriately. She had difficulty understanding and hearing what was being said to her. And our elder care coordinator went in and took a look at her medical records, saw that she had a long history of epilepsy, but that a medication that she'd been taking was at such a high dose that it may have been toxic to her.
Wow.
It took quite a while. She finally got hold of the neurologist, and they made an adjustment on her medication. And the other very important aspect of this was the elder care coordinator found out that she had hearing aids. And nobody had bothered to put her hearing aids in.
Simple steps.
The batteries weren't, had run down,
Without hearing aids and with a medication causing her to be confused, she didn't have a chance of understanding what people were saying. But when the medication was brought down and the hearing aids with the fresh batteries were put in, she was a different lady.
Yeah, it's so true. Actually being that your patient advocate, client advocate is so important.
Yeah.
And that was the elder care coordinator's job. She did that capacity assessment and helped this lady tremendously by going in, understanding the medical aspects, and making suggested corrections.
So true.
And then once we were convinced that she had the capacity to understand, I was able to meet with her, and we were able to do a power of attorney for her, so we didn't need to go into a conservatorship or a guardianship. We do not just the traditional estate planning power of attorney. We have an enhanced power of attorney that's specially designed for our older clients to be able to deal with issues as they come up that aren't ordinarily dealt with in the traditional power of attorney. We have certain kinds of clauses that we build in that offer the opportunity to do some additional planning and possibly even some transfer of assets, and to do the kind of planning that may be appropriate for an older person that starts to lose their cognitive ability. So we also worked on she had named her primary beneficiary was her niece, but her niece now was on Medicaid, living in a Medicaid facility in a foster home, and so we were able to redo her estate plan to have her will pour into a supplemental needs trust, so that when she passes on, if she passed on before her niece, the money wouldn't go to the niece and then disqualify the niece from getting state assistance. The money would go into a supplemental needs trust that could be then managed by the niece's son for his mother's benefit, and keep her continuing to get government assistance, but be able to supplement that assistance with additional help from the supplemental needs trust. So we were able to do the estate planning and the life care planning for her. Once we were able to solve this initial issue about her cognitive ability.
And we eventually got her moved into an adult residential care home that costs less and that was a lot more homey than where she'd been.
Yeah, so placement is really important, but I mentioned during the break, as we age in 5-10 years from now, it's going to be harder and harder to find places, and it's hard for people. You can get a list from the Department of Human Services, but that list is hit or miss. So I like the fact that your care coordinator has pictures, because we're all busy. We don't have time to go visit every place, right? So I'm glad your care coordinator does that. So your phase 2 here, you sit down for that planning stage?
We have that planning stage, that initial, and if at that initial conference, it may last for an hour and a half, could be even 2 hours. People get pretty much worn out after an hour, though. But we try to answer all their questions. We help them develop a roadmap, help them to understand what's ahead, and we try to make an assessment as to whether or not we can provide value. We'll explain to them what we do and what the alternatives are, and they can make their decision. And if they do retain us, then we move into the actual life care planning process. We go through these continuums. We talked about the capacity continuum. The next continuum is what we call home sweet home. Where's the appropriate place for this person to live? Is it to stay at home with assistance coming in from family and from paid caregivers, or is it more appropriate that they go into perhaps a residential care facility, an adult residential home like an Arch, or maybe even at some point a foster home? So we look at the home sweet home issues, and
we had a client who desperately wanted to stay home. She just lost her husband. The husband had Alzheimer's. They were paying $24,000 a month for around-the-clock, 24/7 care.
Yes.
And $24,000 a month, but she still wanted to stay home. So the caregivers, the agency, cut the cost to $19,000. But they brought us in and we said, there's a better way to handle this. And we suggested a live-in caregiver, which would cut the cost to about $11,000 a month. And because we were retained to be part of her family, her team, we were there to give her a surprise 90th birthday party when her daughter on the mainland couldn't make it.
So, Tom, you brought up something earlier when your comments about what the alternatives are. So, when a family asks you, you explain to the family, what are the alternatives? Because if they hire you, you can handle all the legal and medical and all the care planning. Mm-hmm. What's the alternative?
Well, one alternative might be to hire a elder care coordination company. There are several very good companies that provide elder care coordination. Now, that may cost $4,000 or $5,000 a year. If they get you on a standard program, maybe you can work that down to $100 a month. But generally, you're looking at a pretty, maybe $4,000 or $5,000
at least
a year for elder care coordination.
But just the care coordination side.
And that's with a company that may provide a registered nurse that is going to assist. And then you may also want to determine whether or not your estate planning is up to date, and whether possibly a Medicaid plan could be in place to help preserve assets, to help protect assets. And that might be a single attorney that does that for maybe $10,000 to $15,000
or more,
or it could be two attorneys, an estate planning attorney that maybe $2,000 or $3,000 for just the estate planning aspects, and then a Medicaid planning attorney, and then there's of course, if it appears that Medicaid is going to be an appropriate solution, there needs to be an application made. And there are several different companies that will assist with applications. And so a person can become their own basic wedding, let's say a wedding planner.
Yeah.
They plan it all themselves. They're their own general contractor. They can hire a la carte different services. But problem with that is oftentimes they're not communicating with each other effectively. As with our team, where we get together and everybody's in one room and we say, now what do we do about Joella? And everybody contributes, and we come up with our plan, and we start working our plan. And then our elder care coordinator continues to monitor the plan as we move along.
Yeah, it's so important. But like I said, I work with a lot of financial advisors and attorneys and CPAs, and they almost never talk to each other. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that plan works.
Can you summarize the value that you offer your clients?
Probably we. In terms of value, I suppose the initial value is that we have a team, and so that we're communicating with each other on the team, and that we have an elder care coordinator that is right on staff with us, and so that helps.
And that's primarily for the unhops.
Mm-hmm. And we hope our clients find good quality care. If they want to stay at home, we help them with find the good agencies, people that we know and trust that can come in and assist with their long-term care, or if there's an alternative such as a out-of-home living arrangement, we can help them locate and evaluate that. We try to help our clients stay in control and independent as long as possible. We advise our clients about the options and choices that are available for long-term care. We make recommendations. As a matter of fact, we've recommended Percy several times to our clients when they're looking for ways to be able to afford to pay for home care. We oftentimes will recommend one option of reverse mortgage. And it's interesting, Percy, to me that how many people have a initial bad reaction to reverse mortgage because they're thinking about the old reverse mortgage. Oh, this is going to cost us so much money up front. And I say, listen, I'm in this business. I just got a reverse mortgage myself from Percy, and there was no upfront cost except the cost of an appraisal and a counseling session. And this can be a very good backup. Some people will say, well, we'll get a home equity loan as a backup, and that's certainly a possibility. But a reverse mortgage as a backup in case you need it.
And that's an important point. Part of what we do is figure out how you're going to pay for all this care. How are we going to make best use of the resources that you do have?
Yeah.
And that's, we'll work with your financial planner if you have one, but that's part of the snapshot that we need from the initial meeting is what do you have? What are we working with here?
Yeah. In fact, I was planning that conference that we'll be at tomorrow, the Financial Planners Association annual conference. one of the topics is how to finance long-term care, because it's not a matter of if you need long-term care, it's when. It's ultimately it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tom, what were you going to say?
Oh, so we were available to answer questions and advise our clients through what we call the long-term care maze. That's the maze that Laurie found herself in when she was caring for her parents. There's a lot of decisions to be made, and you don't know really what the best decisions are. If you've had somebody that you can call, that is experienced, that can guide you, it can make a great big difference. We can recommend appropriate community and technological resources that are available. Meals on Wheels. Now, there's a waiting list, I understand. I just learned that this morning for Meals on Wheels. But there are community resources that are available. Some are free and some are low cost. And there's a lot. Our government has put together. We've got an amazing place here in Hawaii. There's an awful lot of stuff that's available for our seniors. It's just that people don't know about it.
Yep.
You can pick up that booklet from American Savings, but you can get lost trying to search through and trying to decide what to do. So we're helped to...
And you don't know what's best.
Yeah.
That's what we do with Generations Magazine.
We try to help direct people toward the best providers.
But Laurie, Laurie, that must have been hard. You're the sandwich generation, taking care of your 2-year-old and your parents. So you can really relate with the baby boomers and the professionals today that are dealing with that aspect of caring for a parent, a loved one.
Trying to maintain your home life, maintain your professional life, and take care of mom and dad. Something's got to give. And your kids and your parents tend to take a higher position on the list of priorities than your job and your career. So that's what takes a hit most of the time. I found myself gradually easing out of my business. I ultimately ended up selling my share of the business to my partner so that I could be a full-time primary caregiver for my parents, because that's what it required.
Well, I give you a lot of credit. Yeah, I did a reverse mortgage about 3 years ago for a guy that had no Social Security. He was 63, had no medical insurance. I said, well, everybody has Social Security. He goes, no, I haven't worked in 25 years. Taking care of both his parents over that span. And he still needed, I think, 3 more years to work to get Social Security. But he was so burnt out at that time. Can you imagine caregiving full-time, both parents for 25 years? I mean, amazing. Luckily, he had his home, and his sister was the other beneficiary. So his sister said, you took care of mom and dad, you get the house. So fortunately, he was able to get a reverse mortgage line of credit and use it just to live life. And we got him on MedQuest. He had no clue about insurance because he was only worried about his parents. He had no insurance. He had no car. He had no bank account. Amazing. And he came back, and we got the reverse mortgage. We set him up with a credit union. We helped him get MedQuest insurance. But he still has no Social Security.
There's a lot of resources out there, Percy, as you know, through Generations Magazine and your work with that people just are not aware of. I'll give you an example. We had an elderly lady. Here she was 92. She was a widow. She had a disabled daughter who is 69 that she's caring for, and her husband had died about 20 years ago. So just as part of our interview of her, we said, well, was your husband ever in the military? Oh, yes, he served on active duty. In fact, he was in World War II. I think it was the Korean War or World War II. Anyway, he was in duty during a wartime. And I said, well, are you getting you're entitled to veterans benefits as a surviving spouse? Right. And she said, well, I never heard of that. And I said, well, they don't advertise it, but you're entitled to it. And so we got an application in for her. For the last 20 years, she could have been getting over $1,000 a month from the VA. She didn't even know about it. Well, now we've got that rectified. She's going to be getting her VA benefits. But she's almost to a point where she's going to qualify for Medicaid. We managed to get her and her daughter. She and her daughter were living in a very cluttered apartment near Waikiki, and struggling to make it work. Well, the daughter, being disabled, qualified for Medicaid. We got her into a foster home. We got both mother and daughter into the foster home. And now mother is qualifying for Medicaid, so that'll pay for the mother's portion of the foster home. And this foster home they're out in Eva Beach, and they are just wonderful. We've been out there several times, and they've just adopted mom and daughter into their family. I mean, they're just wonderful people.
Amazing.
Mother and daughter could not be happier.
You really take the burden off of these families. That's amazing. So how do you charge for your services?
what we do, Melissa, is we charge a fixed fee. And the reason is, I'll give you maybe 3 reasons. One is it makes us feel that we can do things without having to keep track of our time. An example, one of our clients living at home had her 90th birthday party. Well, we put together a surprise birthday party for her. The caregiver got a hold of the daughter who lived in the mainland and found the recipe for her favorite cake. And so she made this favorite bunt cake for her. We came in with hats, whistles, lays. The neighbors came over, and we had the surprise 90th birthday party. Now, if I was working on an hourly basis, and my normal hourly rate before I started in this area was $3.50 an hour. Well, that translates to $6 a minute. Now, two lawyers coming out and spending an hour with our client at a 90th birthday party, and then to send them a bill for $700 would just not be appropriate. And yet we don't charge for our time. So we do what it takes. We do what it takes to make sure mom gets the best available care. And so one reason is it frees us up in our attitude towards providing services. We're not keeping track of our time. The second part is clients aren't worried about calling and getting a bill for a phone call or for a short consultation. It's all covered. Everything is covered. They can call us anytime, and we're there. We don't keep track of.
It's nice they won't hesitate.
Yeah. And in a critical situation, they will hesitate because they're thinking, "Oh no, what is this going to cost me?" We don't want them to hesitate. In fact, we've sometimes told clients, "You should have called us yesterday." We want them to call us as soon as the problem happens, and we're part of the family, we're part of the team, and we want to be able to help them make good decisions.
And I think that maybe the third point is if we tried to allocate our fees on an a la carte basis on the different aspects, then it becomes kind of a pick and choose. Well, I don't need this, but I need that, and what do you charge for this? And what we want to do is say, listen, this is like a relationship. When you get married, you don't get ahead in advance and agree that, well, you take out the garbage on Tuesdays and I'll wash the dishes on Thursday. You're working together.
And when you get married, you do both every
Husband
day.
And everybody, you're looking to care for each other.
It's like a
continuum and it's a relationship.
And you just do what it takes.
You do what's right.
Yeah. Well, it's really a buffet. You get one price, you get everything involved because that's so important. Like I said, I'm glad to see that you have a medical person on staff because it's really, really important. I get these questions all the time, so I call my Medicare friend, I call Melissa, I call Project Donna quite a bit. That nonprofit does a lot of great work, but I think we're going to see more and more issues. We have, like I said, a great Medicaid system. Hopefully that it will bend when we need the services in 5 to 10 years. But it's really something that we really need to make families understand. Your coaching and your advocacy is really a great gift to your clients.
And one of the areas in this Medicaid area that could be really helpful and that I hope the state of Hawaii will begin to focus more in on is what they call a home-based waiver program. We have it, but it's not funded.
Very limited.
But it can be a lot more cost-effective and beneficial to a family if the Medicaid can help provide for home care and not limit itself to just nursing home and foster care.
I think there've got to be some movement. I go to Capitol once a month. You might want to come. Called Kupuna Caucus, the first Friday of every month from 1:30 to 3:30. Melissa and I both go there and really get in front of politicians because I was talking to representative from the Kona area. What his name was, Melissa? I can't remember his name. He's going to kill me if I see him. But anyway, I was telling him, we're going to have to bend as the baby boomers get older. They're going to want to stay in their home, and home and community-based programs is the key because they used to be called Nurses Without Walls. They would come in once, twice a week, but it's really important that we start planning. We got a couple minutes left. Do you want one more question, Melissa?
Yes. So let's say my generation, I'm in my 40s, 50s, I'm starting to plan. I just met with my financial advisor for putting together life-term care insurance, and there's so many plans I'm still confused. But let's say I'm not 100% ready. Can I still reach out to you? Would you still take someone young, advise them on what to do for my care?
Absolutely. You're smart to be thinking about it from a young age. Unfortunately, a lot of people are in denial, don't want to be thinking about it until they get quite a bit older. But absolutely, we would welcome you.
So we're here with Tom Rulon and Laurie Adamshick, Lifecare planners. We gotta head out of here. Any last comments for people listening?
Yes, if people want to get a hold of us, I can give you my phone number.
Yeah, go ahead.
393-6387.
And what about your website?
That's 393-6387. Life Care Planning, LCP, Life Care Plan. If you go to lcphawaii.com,
right,
that'll take you to our website.
Or just probably Google Rulon and Adamshick. You'll probably find that as well, right?
That's right. So, and when we think Adamshick, a lot of people stumble on the word Adamshick. The way I remember my partner's name, Adam, the first man, needed to shave. He needed a razor, Schick razor, right? Adamshick.
Okay. Listen, great program today. Melissa, thank you very much. You guys had a great week. Hopefully you've been to the senior fair.
Thank
Aloha
you.
and live well.